Happy Labor Day weekend
Yeah.
for all those who labor.
Thank you.
There's some of us that need to labor.
Some of us who are
And they
tired
don't.
of laboring.
Yeah, some of us are tired of laboring. And then there's some of us who should be laboring that don't labor at all. I think those are called,
Yes.
they must have a lazy weekend for those people. I'm not
Labor in
sure.
bed.
It's just some people that need to work that don't work, but here we are. From the last week, I told you last Sunday that there was 3 court dates this week with the city and all the crazy stuff going on. You probably might be wondering, if you're inquisitive, what's going on. Absolutely nothing. The Monday court date, the judge says you don't even have to come to the hearing, even though we were at the hearing, and she said, I'll make a decision and send it to you in the mail. Wednesday, with the city and all the issues with the city of Warren, they said they would adjourn that for a future date, so no court hearing, even though I was there for that one. And then the Sacred Heart court date on Friday, the Archdiocese of Detroit said that they got different attorneys and needed more time to look over the paperwork, and they adjourned that for a future date as well. The judge said she would issue a future court date, didn't cancel anything, just pushed the can down the road to just sit and wait. Most people that get involved in legal stuff understand it's just frustrating because justice, the hands of justice, the scales of justice just move very, very slowly, more slowly than we would hope. A young man called me yesterday, and he's been looking for work, and his name is Chris. Just pray for him. He's been looking for work for a while. He can't support his family, and the family's having difficult times, and he's concerned about their finances and how they're going to continue without him having gainful employment. I don't know if you know this or not, but that big warehouse right here at Hoover and 9 Mile Road, the big Syncreon warehouse, Chrysler canceled the contract at that warehouse, so everybody that works there is going to be laid off in October.
No.
They just built that warehouse about 5 years ago, and that used to be the old Holly Carburetor property, and it's a 200,000 square foot warehouse. So huge place, but it's just going to be an empty warehouse soon. So pray for the people that are going to lose their jobs there. Restructuring. That warehouse actually supplied Chrysler here on Mound, Chrysler Assembly, with truck parts, and Chrysler is going to do something else, or they got a different program. So they just canceled the contract with the vendor that was supplying parts there, and they're going to close down that place, and all those people are going to be displaced. There's no placement for them in other facilities. They're just going to lose their jobs and be laid off. So a lot of lives affected, and I'm sure there's people in the local community that are going to be greatly affected by all of that. So just a lot of reasons to pray. Also pray for what's going on just worldwide. In Minneapolis, there was a shooting at a Catholic church this week. 2 young children were killed. 17 children were injured. What gets into the minds of these people? And this was somebody that was connected with the church. So the mother worked at the church. The male son, when he was 17, decided he was a female. And the mother went to court and changed the kid's name to make him a female. Didn't change anything, it just changed his name on a piece of paper. If you're born male, you're going to be male. If you're born female, you're going to be female. Even if you think you're something else, it's just mental illness. But that young person went to the church when the kids were having service and shot it up. And 2 young kids were killed. Just precious little kids. I saw their pictures. And 17 other kids were wounded, and that's going to scar those kids for life. We think it's all fun and games until it's not fun and games. Then the shooter actually ended up shooting himself. So there's, nobody to hold responsible for all of that. Just a sad scenario. And we're living in a sad time where, people don't even think anything of causing damage and danger to other people. It's like, how does this stuff even happen? I'm not sure. But pray for them. I had seen a thing on Facebook. All these young people that are shooters is just crazy, and a lot of them are just confused young people. They talk about all the things that kids indoctrinate themselves with have no effect. Well, that's not really true. When I was a kid, we never worried about school shootings because there were none.
Yeah, not really.
But we live in a different world now, and it's kind of crazy. Also, down the river this week, there was a minister that was indicted, him and his executive director. It's kind of funny, about 5 or 6 years ago, a couple of his emissaries met me for breakfast with a couple other ministers. I think there was 4 ministers. I was invited to it. I didn't engage, but I was at a breakfast with that guy's people, and they were trying to talk us into going to a service. Well, the other 3 pastors that I was with, they all went to a service, but I just sensed something was off just from talking to these guys. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't invited to go to their service, and I wasn't a participant. And it just goes to show how people can just be misguided and misjudged, and people just do crazy stuff that I really don't understand. But this guy had call centers in multiple states, and a 28,000 square foot mansion that he bought with the money from his church, and I guess he raised over $50 million in the last decade or so. And it's kind of weird because they have buildings in 4 or 5 states, and the people that actually worked for the ministry weren't paid. They were just stuck there and actually lived there. So I don't know what kind of cult it was, but justice be served. But there's charlatans out there that you have to be careful with.
Yeah.
And I was at breakfast with 3 of this guy's lieutenants, and these other guys say, "Wow, this is really dynamic. We should go down there and check this apostle out." Yeah. I told them after breakfast, I think this is nothing but a religious scam. And fast forward 6 years, the feds indicted the 2 people that operate this ministry. And that's exactly what it was. Just another housekeeping issue here. Our insurance for the church came due again this coming month, September. And the church's insurance bill for this month was $2,800. And of course the church didn't have anywhere near that amount of money. So we scrambled and put the money together to pay for our insurance bill. There's a lot of people here that come to church, but they don't support the church. And that's kind of sad. The people of God are supposed to support the church, not just the pastor. And my wife and I have supported this church repeatedly. We also have a $1,500 electric bill due. And, on an average Sunday, it's amazing. If we get $150 in offerings total, that's a good Sunday. And you can't run a church on $150. You can't even keep the lights on for $150 because our electric bill is about $1,500 a month. Just the electric bill. So, anyways, just so you know. And September's going to be a busy month. I mean, there's just a lot of things going on in September. We're looking forward to what God has for us in September. I'm going to continue this morning preaching from James. I just love the book of James. It's such a practical book. The thing that I like about James is the half-brother of Jesus, and he was one who didn't believe his brother at all. It's like, what do you mean you're God? Could you imagine the civil rivalry between Jesus and his brothers?
For sure.
Of course, Jesus was the firstborn and he was God. But, it's just kind of interesting how James went from, this is all not true, to one of the most devout people and also a pastor. He became a pastor and a leader in the church after the resurrection. So when there was proof, he came on board and started to believe. And, there's so much to be learned from James. Last week we talked about chapter 1. This week I'm going to move to chapter 2 and talk about partiality. And, we talked about faith that works. Last week we talked about looking in the mirror at ourselves, the perfect Word of God, and looking into the Word to see how it applies to us. When I came this morning, they said the music was going to be a little shorter, which was wonderful. The old hymns that were sung this morning, maybe that's a cue to me also to be more brief this morning. I'm not sure. Maybe everybody just wants to get out of church early. I'm not sure how that goes. But I don't know if I'm going to surprise you with that or not. But we'll see how that goes. But let's begin.